neighborinos. Today is day 1812 of the ceiling overhaul, and let me just tell you, it's been a motherfucking saga, but it is coming along and we are feeling good. And today we have made a pact to not go to bed until it is done.
Let's show you the nice half of the bus. Ooh, so pretty. Ugh. Ooh. Ugh. It's coming. It's looking good. We've done all of the easy side. Now we have the hard part, starting with this fan. So we have a few things going on here. We're going to put foam board insulation around this covering and then put the MaxxAir fan cover on eventually. So we got to do that. We're fitting these little foam pieces here. And then we also have a voltage converter, and I haven't used this before, but after both of our MaxxAir fans died at the exact same time, and I think it was because irregular voltage fried the motherboard, I wanted to get this voltage converter, which basically takes the incoming electricity and the voltage current and regulates it so that it cannot go beyond certain parameters. And in this instance, it can't go above or below a range of like 12 to like 13, 14 volts. I can't remember specifically what that is. And then I've been using these little lever nuts, which are great, but they're bulky. And so I'm going to take these off and then connect these wires to our line with some regular old heat crimp shrink stuff, and then connect those lines so that we can continue putting up these different panels. All right, we got different colored wires. They mean different things. This black wire from the MaxxAir fan is positive, but this black wire on the voltage converter is negative. So be careful with your colors and always check what's positive. Let's cut some wires. Let's connect some wires. We're taking these little butt connectors and connecting two wires together. To do that, you strip back the wire, then use some little crimpers and this heat gun like this to do that. And if you want to test the connection after you crimp it, make sure it's terminated correctly. Just lightly pull on it, and if you can't pull the wire out, then you're good to go. First butt connector is on. Now we got to do the same thing 3 more times. The back half of the bus has different types of 12-volt lights. The new strip lights that we're putting in are 24-volt, and we want to hardwire them directly to our electrical system. So to do that, luckily we do have a 24-volt battery, but I don't have a 24-volt fuse block installed. So it's a pretty simple fix, which is what I'm working on now.
It is never just one project with the bus. Remember that. It is project on project on project, because every project is inherently 8 others.
Behold all the tools that I'm going to be using for this project. So we have a bunch of stuff. My electrical tools up here, wire strippers, wire cutter, 2 types of crimpers. This one's kind of fun because you have to use a hammer to hit it. Some bigger 6-gauge wire. I do have a fuse block, Blue Seas, that we are using. Fuses, terminal lugs. Always got to have your heat gun for heat shrink. Tools of the trade. Let's take a look at what's happening inside the electrical cabinet. Yes, my wires are a mess. No, I'm not going to fix them right now. Here we have the new fuse block. I've just installed it using double-sided tape and 4 screws at each corner. This fuse block is going to run into our coverless links distributor. This is just a fancy bus bar and fuse block itself. So this is connected to our 24-volt battery. So to get 24-volt power to this fuse block, I'm going to run a positive and negative wire from here into this spot on the links distributor, along with a 125 amp hour fuse right here. And then once we do that, currently we have some old wiring for our previous lights that are 12 volt on here, and we are simply going to move those wires from this one to this one so that we now have 24 volt power for our strip lighting. Alright, I've cut the long strands of 6-gauge wire And what's next is I have to crimp some terminal lugs onto these ends. And I'm going to do that using this hammer crimp. So you pull this up, use a hammer to tap down, and then it literally physically connects this lug into the wire by compressing it. The other tool I'm going to use is this little box cutter to strip back the sheathing that's protecting the copper wires inside these lights. Let's do it. Okay, we have crimped all 4 of the lugs onto our positive and negative wires. And a good practice to get into if you're ever attaching stuff to an electrical system is just to make sure that everything is clean. You can do that using just some rubbing alcohol and a cloth. Different types of copper terminal lugs and things that you're going to attach to a power source often come from the factory with different oils and stuff on them that can prevent you from getting the most efficient connection possible. So what I'm doing right now is taking some rubbing alcohol and a cloth and just cleaning that up. Only takes a few seconds to do, and it can be well worth your time. Okay, we have connected the fuse block to positive and negative power. That fuse is set to go, so there's power live here. We are all set to start hooking up the wires from here, moving them over from 12 volt and converting them to 24 volt. All right, now that we have this hooked up, we're going to use a multimeter and just check that the voltage is correct. We want it to be 24-ish volts. All right, so let's see in real time we got going on, if I can position these correctly. Positive, negative. All right, and we're coming in around 26 volts, which is accurate in the range for 24 volts. Looking good. Let's get this lights hooked up. All right, so the wiring for these lights, when you cut this open and you expose these little wires here, super duper small. I think this is like 24 or 26 gauge wire. And I didn't have any rolls of new wire on hand, so I was like, all right, what am I going to do? What we did do was, these were the old puck lights that we used to have stuck up to the ceiling, and they have a very small gauge wire connected to them, on each light. And the length is pretty good, pretty long. So I ended up cutting those, stripping these wires back, and then using them as extension wires to connect the end of these lights to the module for the new controller. And that's worked out really well. We've connected 2 of these wires. This is the last one that's going in here. And that is all we need to connect to our strip light. So let's tighten this screw down. All right, it's pretty tight. Let's give it the pull test. These are all connected. We have power. So this is going to run out the top of this compartment. All right, and then these wires are going to run all the way to the middle over here. And then we're going to bury these wires up here. Okay, we got a messy bus, but we got clean wiring. These 2 strip lights are now connected. Previously, they were each connected to individual remotes that look like this. And these are nice remotes, but we wanted to be able to control the living room lights at the same time. So I've got them connected. And my biggest challenge doing this was, these are really tiny wires. They're like 24 gauge wires that are on the inside of this strip lighting. And the lighting behind me just died because I accidentally spoiled the big reveal, and that we can control these together now. And that instead of those individual remotes, they're now connected to this guy. So we can use this to change the temperature of the lights from cool to warm, back and forth, and also dim it to where we want it. Very happy with the results so far, and now I'm working on connecting one more strip of lighting, and then tomorrow comes the fun game of trying to figure out what looks straight, what looks level, as we run a metal track for the strip lighting to go in that's going to run from where I'm standing right now all the way to the edge of our bedroom. Okay, we got the lights run, they're not quite connected yet. I think we're going to have to solder these little guys together up here. But we did get our metal cover, metal strip run here. The lights are behind it. Let's see if we can get these wires connected and see if the light works.
Welcome to the tricky bits. So these parts have been haunting my dreams ever since we started this project, because this is where we get put to the test. This is where all the walls are, because up here, while difficult,
Wide open spaces.
wide open and clear. Here we've got the fan, we've got the walls, we've got the pantry. It's a lot. We've got this wall, the entrance gland for all of our roof wires, and then we have all of this. So there may be a few more cuss words from here on out. I don't know if I've already messed this up. It's been over an hour. We have our first panel sort of up. So the issues here were, this used to be the emergency hatch for the bus, which is why it's so big and open, and we got a patch for that for the ceiling from Skoolie.com, which we love, and that allows the fan to sit inside and attach, but it means that we have all this excess here that doesn't have ceiling. So the panels, unfortunately, are gonna, 4 of them, meet in this awkward space. And then we have to attach the flange, which is here. And that is a lot taller. So we had to cut this down. And it'll look really nice because all 4 of these panels will awkwardly meet here. And then the flange will go up there flat, but we had to find a way to attach the screws in, so we put these wood pieces up here that we can screw into. It is never just one project with the bus, remember that. Remember yesterday when I told you on day 1812 that we were finishing before we went to bed? We did not, in fact, finish before we went to bed.
I think it's day 1883 now.
But we are going to finish tonight. Tricky, 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 tricky. These bits have been every bit as difficult as we imagined them to be. If you're building a bus right now and you're thinking, I'll just tackle that ceiling later, don't do it. Don't do it. This could have been so easy. Really, this project could have been so simple. And it has not been. But it looks damn good.
How could it have been simple, Brandi?
We could have just done the ceiling at the beginning when we had nothing in here and nothing to fight with. But we didn't do that. And so I am left playing shenanigans here, trying to take measurements and cut pieces when none of this was necessary. We could have just done this 4 years ago.
Please note our latest recent amazing addition to the bus, which is this reproduction, we think it's a reproduction, of a print made by a guy who worked for a newspaper in the 1940s. I can't remember.
Frank Venning Smith.
Frank Venning Smith. He produced a bunch of maritime pictures that were really famous, and it just elevates the vibe in here to exponentially incredible levels.
Yeah, we're very happy with it.
All right, let's get the rest of this ceiling done, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh. Yeah. That can work.
Can it?
Yeah, that can work. Okay. Yeah. Yes, queen. Now she wants to play.
I think you also almost need to like shove the ceiling up as we're doing it.
It's working. See, if we had done all of this before we built all of our walls, Ben wouldn't have to be doing this. Trying to glue that at this awkward angle. This is our closet, by the way. It's Ben's hang-up clothes. That's why it's cut back so much there. Heck.
I didn't realize that it slid underneath. Didn't think that was possible.
Just gonna make these other ones interesting. This project would not have been impossible, but it would have been significantly harder without our collection of magnets. I mean, really, truly, real MVPs right here.
Bevmate.
If we had to sit here and hold all of these panels while they firmed up. Now, I will say, we ended up doing pretty much the entire ceiling with this Gorilla heavy duty stuff. It's like 13 something a pop. Outrageous Gorilla brand. But it says it's instant hold.
It's pretty close.
And it's pretty damn close. I mean, we put it up there. It will hold while we get our magnets. And I think it would probably do it without the magnets. But just for extra security, we have been putting magnets up here and then letting them sit for a few minutes before we move to the next panel, because we live in an earthquake. So that just feels like best practice. That was somewhat easier. Except for that'll do, pig. That'll do.
Individuals. We strive to do more, see more, be more with the Great Courses Signature Collection. You can learn history, science, philosophy, travel the world, and more.
I wonder if I can use the hot thing on this.
What?
I wonder if I can use the hot thing on this.
You probably could. I just don't know where it is.
Sure, there's a better way to do this, but we don't really know what it is. I'm so scared to cut that other panel.
Go the other way, or I can go the other way to finish it. Good job. Do you want me to do that? Ooh, be careful.
So, I just don't know. Like, I guess we're gonna have to get some sort of trim to put here because there's no way
That's fine. I mean, we can get some trim.
to be able to make.
Yeah, an accurate line because of this. That's fine. We can get some trim. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, Brandi. We can get trim for that. None of this process is easy because of how we're doing it. So the fact that it's looking this good, despite the fact that we have to go over and caulk and trim and whatever, great. At least we have a pretty ceiling. And we'll have like a super finished pretty ceiling as we go about this. We're almost done.
I still don't know what to do about the next panel.
I mean, there's not a perfect solution. So we just have to pick the one that we think we can live with.
We just cut that's what, 6-inch section off of there.
Yeah.
So that means if we're gonna run that forward, it's gonna be 6 inches set back over here. So the squares are just gonna be way off
Yeah.
for like literally these two panels. You know,
Yeah.
panel and a half.
I mean, it's going to be off one way or the other.
Or we can try to
Sounds miserable.
If you ever come into the bus, you better look at the front of the bus ceiling and be like, oh my god, this is so magical. Don't you be coming in my bed, looking at my ceiling and giving us shit.
95% of the bus ceiling, which we did in probably the least ideal way possible because we did it with so many obstacles. Like, we gave ourselves like Mission Impossible ceiling challenge. Anyway, the panels that we put up look great, and we are coping so hard right now, let me tell you, because this panel has to overlap like heck.
The last two
panels are giving us grief because the sum total of all of our little movements and jimmies and jangles and...
Which is exactly what I said was going to happen on
the very beginning.
Literally the first row. It is happening, and I'm trying to come to terms with it, and...
Like, is there any way we could have avoided it? Realistically?
Yeah. So what we could have done differently is used a laser level at the very beginning and put one track of lighting straight down the middle, and then intentionally
offset.
Left gaps in between each one, knowing that we would have to put caulk and trim in them because our wanting to like butt them up against each other means that like if there's anything off, it really does affect every single other panel. So something being off a 1/16 of an inch feels fine when you're doing it and you're like holding a panel full of glue and just like frantically putting it up. But then you get to the last two panels and it's overlapping by 3 inches. I wish was an exaggeration. Yeah, it is what it is. It's gonna look fine. The not perfect bits are in our bed, which the only two people ever in our bed are us and our dog. So it's not a problem.
Oh no, it still looks better than what we had.
It looks so much better than what we had. But if you are doing this project, one, do it before you build walls.
Yep. Do it when you got a blank slate.
To get a laser level and run a center track line point, so that way you can build off of that the rest of the way.
You need to create an artificial grid to lay the panels in so that this doesn't happen to you where everything gets smushed together at the end.
Yeah.
The rest of this bus, which looks really good. I mean, the rest of it looks great.
Don't look at our junk.
You know, the junk doesn't look great, but the ceiling does. And so again, like, vast majority of this we did as best we could with, and you know, now we're just.
This also like brings up building while living in a rig. Like, there's a lot of positives to not having your whole bus done before you move in, because you know what works and what doesn't, and what you really need and what you don't. That being said, living in your vehicle while doing projects, it can be really overwhelming because there's just like
stuff everywhere.
So much stuff to move, and all of our tools are out, and everything is everywhere. And it can be like really mentally draining. So really weigh those pros and cons if you're considering living in your rig before you finish it.
And I will say sometimes you don't have a choice when it comes to that. Like,
yeah.
you just, that's kind of what happened to us. It's like we had to pick up and go. And now we're here.
Yeah, and again, for a lot of reasons, I have appreciated that we have lived in our bus before finishing it, because it really has given us insight into like...
And it's our first vehicle. It is the first time that we've done this, and I think we've learned a whole heck of a lot, whereas if we were going to do this again...
we would do it differently.
Yeah, and that's totally on the table. We'll see.
Yeah.
Good learning experience is what this is.
And the ceiling is literally 2 panels from being done, and that's very exciting.
And you know what? Those little mess-up panels...
No one will see it but us!
And the ceiling's done, so... whatever. Overlap.
You didn't see it.
Don't mention it.
Oh my god, I think it made it worse. Okay, just don't look at it.
No, it's good. Is this the last panel?
It's the last panel.
More enthusiasm.
It's the last panel.
More.
It's the last freaking panel.
Pretend like you're happy.
I am happy. I'm just so annoyed.
Enthusiasms.
I'm a recovering perfectionist. And things like this really
Grind your gears.
test that resolve. But it's the last panel. Well, it's done. Last 2 are up. The rest of it is done. Oh, we still need to put the trim in. And I've got to do a ton of caulking.
We have to do a ton of caulking. We're both doing it.
We have to do a ton of caulking. But yeah. She's done, folks. And next up, we've got some other exciting things in the works. I'm not exactly sure which project is next, but we'll see you next week or the week after.